Do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't. No one. Women don't even watch Star Wars, but they don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it.
They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
All the employees were smiling, and that's probably in large part because they didn't own any Disney stock.
And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like,
If you can find a clip of me saying that women don't belong in Star Wars, or women shouldn't be in Star Wars, or Star Wars isn't for women, I will send you $10,000.
James, who I like very much, was given a board seat. He didn't have to have a plan for the company.
See, this is the good part, Pecker. That's when the job gets fun.
Yeah.
They're going to do the Mary Poppins thing. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. Yeah. Oh.
Yo, bitch, you killed Kenny. You fat hoe.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Welcome everybody to the Spice Lounge show. I'm so
hey
glad
y'all,
you're all here, and here with my amazing panel. So glad you guys are here with me. We have got with us new this time. We've got Lou Wasserman's Ghost joining us.
What a pleasure!
Absolutely love having you here. For me. And we have Bash joining us here as well. First time on the Spice Lounge. We like to liven it up with some new guests from time to time. So glad you're here, my dear.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Lorena. I do very much appreciate it. When I heard about the concept for the show, I was like, "Oh, I got to get on that." So thank you so much for doing this. And by the way, that sizzle reel at the top of the show there, oh man,
yeah, fire.
Unbelievably amazing work.
Vash,
right
I said when
really
I heard
good.
it was called the Spice Lounge that Lorena is the one who puts the ooh in umami.
Nice work.
I love that. And I'm glad you guys like the sizzle reel. That thing takes me so long to do because I'm too busy laughing at some of the clips that I come up with. And I'm like, I need this one. No, I need this one. No, maybe we'll use this one. So, yeah, I'm glad you all like that.
Great stuff. Really gets us hyped for the show because we have some very interesting subject matter to go over today, right?
Yes, we do. Very interesting. We're planning on having lots of spicy takes and spicy takes, hot takes, spicy conversation, all of that stuff. we're going to be doing it on the show. And I'm so glad Retro Nerd Girl and Views with Hughes are back. That's this week. So glad to have you all here.
Glad to be here.
Yes, a pleasure.
Absolutely love. I love you guys' background. I mean, I love Baxter's background too.
I gotta
but
get a
it's
better
like,
one there.
I like the comics background in the back, reviews that Hughes has, and I love the spaceship one that Retro Nerd Girl has.
Thank you. And you have quite a nice one too yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm just hanging on the back lot in front of a certain soundstage where I spent a few years of my life, but that's another story.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you get all the gossip, see all the stuff that goes on.
The secret is separating the wheat from the chaff, as they say. You know, what was it? Gertrude Stein said, in Hollywood, behind the fake tinsel, there's real tinsel. So, you know.
Oh.
It's why his camera's off, by the way. You gotta, it's that separation process,
exactly right.
Well, folks, I see you guys floating on in here, so I'm going to say hi real quick before we kick it off, because we've got a lot to talk about on the show today, and I know my panel's going to have a whole lot to add as well. Of course, we got D.O. Fendel says, can't wait. Love that avatar there. Reminds me of the shows I used to watch in black and white with my grandfather.
That's John Wayne.
John Wayne,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
A legend.
The Duke.
I
love the Searchers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That was cool. I finally saw Hondo, like, I'm going to say 2 years ago. And I had been meaning to watch that ever since I heard about it on, believe it or not, Married with Children. The episode where Hondo only came on one time a year, and Al wanted to go see it, but we stuck out shopping with Peggy anyway.
Great show.
I finally saw it. I said, yeah. Married with Children.
Hey, old movies. We were talking the other day about the dismal showing for Soul, and I looked up the Stronger Than Soul bad weekends of past movies over the years. Do you know the first was The Emperor's New Grooves release, but the second one was a Fathom release in I forget, in the early 2000s, of The Treasure of Sierra Madre, which, for God's sakes, if that can draw more money than Soul, Houston, we have a problem.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Humphrey Bogart.
Batches? We don't need no stinking batches.
It's just something about those older films, and even the ones where I say not so old but sort of new but not really, like Blazing Saddles. Love that movie.
Oh my goodness gracious! You can.
And we all remember that.
It's great stuff.
I love the bit where he's riding and suddenly here's Count Basie in the orchestra.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love that moment. That just hits it.
It's such a wonderful piece of cinema, and I do have a watch party for that movie on my channel with the closed caption. So you'll have to check it out. We had a blast as members watching that, because we're playing You Can't Do That Now. You can't do that now.
Exactly. You heard the story about how Frankie Lane got the gig singing the song, right? They put out a casting call for, quote, a Frankie Lane type to sing the song. And he showed up in person and said, what the hell, why didn't you call me? And they said, we thought you were dead. And so Frankie Lane playing Frankie Lane. So.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Kiss My Grit says Married with Children was one of the best shows ever made. Can you imagine modern Hollywood attempting to make that show today? You know,
they'll make them all black in order to get away with it.
That's a good point.
Black people are nothing more than white liberals' bulletproof vests. If you think about it, you just realize I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the main thing is, it wasn't that long ago that all this stuff was working well and that we were doing great stuff. It's not so far in the past, gang.
No,
So
that's why I
sad.
loved Married with Children so much, because they had everybody in there. Everybody. And the main thing they had in common was mostly they just wanted, complain about their wives and the masculine feminist. And they had the Church of No Man, which is, oh my God, that's comedy gold. It is absolute comedy gold. So speaking of comedy gold, so glad all of you folks are in here in the chat. I know I kind of like highlighted you guys real quick as you were coming in. So glad that you guys are loving the show. Glad sometimes 451 says ahoy, all glad I'm online in time for this. Well, glad to have you guys all here.
Welcome.
28 of you guys. Yes, welcome. We have got a ton of stuff for you. So is everyone aware of a man called Nelson Peltz?
The name is vaguely familiar, I think.
May have heard of him.
I don't know.
I know. I would say if you've ever seen that movie, if you've ever seen Caddyshack, or if you've ever seen Back to School.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen those, Nelson Peltz is like the Rodney Dangerfield character in both of those films. He is a straight shooter, has a lot of money, and
from nothing, started with nothing and built it himself.
Absolutely.
Oh, that
also
makes
got
it
it
better.
Oh yeah.
Also got a younger wife.
Well,
the trophy wife.
Oh,
I'm
she's
just
much
saying.
younger too.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to say how I know about that particular business, but yes, sorry. It's what happens when you live in LA. You start to pick up these types of things. But
well, let's put it this way: when you open up Orange County Magazine, the majority of ads are for plastic surgeons.
Yes,
have you noticed that?
Surgeons.
It's all the
That's
top
very
plastic
true.
surgeons in Huntington Beach, because all you ladies who want to get a trophy wife redo and snag somebody, here you go. So
Trying to stay in business. There you go.
Yeah. Trophy wife and very, very expensive matchmaking services. That's what.
yeah. Well,
that's what I remember. I'll have to have my stories from back in like kind of stream at another time. But for folks who do not know, Nelson Peltz, what we call an activist investor, he now has a crap ton of money and stock, and at one time was basically telling Bob Iger, look, you're effing up, don't make me come in here. I was like, okay, we'll lay some people off, we'll do this, whatever. Peltz is like, okay, go handle your business, Well, stock goes down more, all kinds of stuff happens, the fight with the state of Florida, and guess what? Nelson Peltz is back. And, I'm actually going to tip this off to Vash to give us some more flavor about Nelson Peltz and his return, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. He has teamed up this time officially with Ike Perlmutter, who has handed him the control of his shares, one of the largest individual shareholders that existed prior to now Peltz coming in.
And another guy that started with nothing and built billions.
That's very true right there. And we haven't gone over the history as it pertains to Iger and Ike Perlmutter and so forth.
Iger started as a weatherman. I rest my case.
Right.
One of those.
But you'll know that when Disney acquired such brands as Lucasfilm, Marvel, and Pixar, a lot of that was done in stock, and so he empowered some very powerful shareholders, which is where Ike Perlmutter originally comes into this whole process. Well, as Lorena suggested last year, Nelson Peltz tried, but because they were going over a CEO change from Bob Chapek to Bob Iger, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and back off for a little bit. Let's see how you run the joint. And now, obviously that the stock price has gone from 118 to now it's hovering around 94, 95. Considerable drop even from then. Nelson Peltz here has relaunched his campaign. Now, under his control 65 million shares of the Walt Disney Company, making him one of the largest shareholders for sure, at least of a controlling of stock. And now he's launching this whole campaign to get not one but 2 board seats, the second one going to Jay Rasulo, who was with the company for 30 years. So that's the one big mark against Nelson Peltz, right? That he has no experience, especially with media and so forth. Well, here's a guy who has 30 years of experience with Disney specifically.
Exactly. And to kind of feed into what Vash was saying, when I hear Jay Rasulo's names, my ears perk up. Why? Because Jay Rasulo used to be, I think, the VP of the Disney parks.
Yep.
Yes, he was chairman actually for the parks unit. Parks at that time it was Disney Parks and Resorts. Now it's Disney Experiences. But I believe he was chairman from, I want to say 2007 up until 2012 or so. I'll get the. Let me go ahead and look those figures up real fast.
I know that there was a market change in the parks during the Rasulo era. It seemed like Disney could just put stuff out and people were buying it. It's just like, shut up and take my money, because of the type of merchandise and everything that was out there, the way that the parks were, the way that the vacation packages were marketed. It was, hey, for a family of 4, you can experience a Disney vacation for this small amount of price. And it was very geared towards middle class families as something that, hey, you can get this. Here's the value of it, and it's not going to break the bank. And the reason that I bring this up, because I want to let Nelson talk a little bit here. But listen to how he talks about the parks. And I kind of want to hear from Retro Nerd Girl and Views with Hughes what your impression of Peltz is when he talks here.
Jim, is last week we went, 7 of us from Trian, went to Disney World in Orlando. And it was fascinating because we went not the way board, directors, family, friends go. We didn't have any special passes. We didn't have any tour guides. We didn't have any leg breakers. Pardon me. Didn't have any line breakers. Didn't have any leg breakers either. And everybody was nice.
And I kind of want to pause it here, because it's very interesting and telling when he says, we didn't go like the other corporate guys, go. Iger has his entourage and everything. If you've ever in the parks, you see the VIP tours. They'll have like the cast member with the iPad and and the the plaid guest services vest that's on.
It's bigger than that. The board members get a $15,000, is it, Vash, stipend to spend at the parks and the resorts, on which they not only get that, but Disney pays their taxes on it as compensation.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
15 grand a year. You could have a nice little vacation there if you went, but I don't know how many of them actually use it.
I've never heard of any of the board members actually currently sitting at Disney having visited the parks at all. I mean,
but
you think
we
Mary
talk
Barra,
about the Reedy Creek people getting a 40% discount on the cruises. Free is better, and
yes,
15 grand worth of free, tax free is even better.
Tax free.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like dumbfounded. Yes, I'm
right?
dumbfounded, because contrast this to people who save the money, the change in the cars, teenagers that take on babysitting or other jobs to save money to go from Disney, the parents who save their tax return, or they have like a little savings account that they put money in every month and sacrifice to save to go to Disney. A lot of them aren't going to get one of these VIP packages where I think it's like $700, probably more than that, last time I checked, per person, and you get your own tour guide through the parks. This is way above that. And you're the person that Disney is trying to suck money out of, or used to cater to anyway at the parks. They don't really have the money like that. But Peltz went to the park as one of those middle class people who would try to go. If you looked at him, you would have thought that he was somebody's granddad, or if he was there on like a golfing trip with the guys or something like that. So I'll ask Retro Nerd Girl and Views with Hughes, what do you think of Nelson Peltz when he tells, he's telling CNBC how it is that he went to Disney as opposed to how the board members go to Disney?
I mean, it shows a lot of integrity to even if this is just an experiment to see what it's like. He's rolling up his sleeves and getting into the trenches of things and actually seeing what the actual experience is like there. I would regard his word on what he thinks, what his imprint of the park is versus someone else who was given special treatment. So, integrity is what I'm thinking.
He probably went up there and decided, I'll go ahead to these parks and see what it's all about myself, put myself in these folks' shoes to get my money's worth. And what I saw, I didn't like it at all. So I'm going to go and tell Bug by Iger, I'll give you a count of 10. Get your low life, yellow, sorry Keista out of this boardroom before I pump your guts for the lead.
That's one of those lead breakers, right?
Yes, he sounds just like that. He sounds just like that guy from Home Alone movies. But the thing is, Bob, look, this is a smart move. It's not just, I agree with Retro Nerd Girl. This is not only a move of integrity, but it's also a smart move. So that way he can not only get the evidence for himself, so that way he can go ahead and further build his case and everything to go ahead and continue with this proxy war and win it. Okay, looking to get other people on board, see who are more than capable of getting things done, rather than getting a bunch of lackeys that will go ahead and follow every word that I go and say. Because guess what? Behind every group of yes men, the leader always falls. And what's happening right now? I don't know. Let's say Disney lost about 56% of its valuation and stuff, about over $190 billion over the years and everything. So Nelson Peltz, he actually put a good sum of money into this company as an investor. And what happened? It went down a drain. So he decided to go ahead, go right into the trenches himself and go ahead and see how things are at the park, pretend to be like other people, hoping to not get noticed and everything. Has anyone on the board ever done that? Only if it was like a organized, gathering or meeting of sorts and stuff for the company and stuff, not to actually meet the people and greet with them and all that, be around them or be a part of them. No, Nelson Peltz did that. He's doing his homework.
The last time we heard about any of them doing it was to go hug hippos, wasn't it?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, we're going to go hug the hippos, who are not dangerous unless their ears are twirling, by the way.
But Hughes makes a fantastic point here. I mean, look, you've got board members who are only invested, $15 million collectively into the company?
Yeah, that's
versus,
the other thing.
Right? Nelson Peltz has shares, and if we do the math here, we're talking like $6 billion in control of shares. In terms of skin in the game, he has all of it right here. He's in the parks. He's looking at all this, looking at the state. We'll go over some of those comments as we play this video for sure. But you have also Jay Rasulo right next to him, 30 years. I went ahead and looked it up real fast. From 2002, he was president of the Parks and Resorts Division, then chairman in 2005, and then finally he was made CFO of the entire company, switching with Tom Staggs in 2009. So that's kind of where my head was. I was like, Tom Staggs, Jay Rasulo, getting them confused for a second. I do apologize. But he was there for 29 years collectively at the company, a lifer. It's very, I can't tell you how rare it is to find an executive that has been there for that long. Usually they're there for a couple of years and they're on their way out. This guy was a lifer here. He has all kinds of experience. And Nelson Peltz himself, not only does he have on-hand theme park experience, as we can clearly see right here, but he has experience in turning companies around. This idea of keeping him out, understand, guys, you want people who have never had any theme park experience ever at all to remain there. If you're advocating for to keep these guys out, you're advocating for people who don't have skin in the game at all, who aren't theme park guys. And look, theme parks represent anywhere between 45 to as much as 70% of overall revenue generated for the Walt Disney Company on any given year.
Yes, it is the money farm. That's exactly what it is. And it's
Ridiculous.
coming from people who are, who are going to the parks, spending their money to go, because the parks are, what funds all these things. And I love this. I think this is where is he? Hollywood.
When he talks about what he saw at the parks here in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Hilarious.
Magic Kingdom and the Hollywood studios were terrific. The people were wonderful. All the employees were smiling, and that's probably in large part because they didn't own any Disney stock.
Because they can't afford to buy it.
That's the problem here.
But he's telling the truth, though.
Yeah, they have no ownership in the company. What do they care?
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Nelson Peltz knows who he's talking to and who he's dealing with, and Kramer and the other guy. I said the other guy because I don't really watch CNBC like that or anything NBC related. But he knows how to handle himself, and he actually did an excellent job in that interview.
Sure did.
Sure did. And I love these pictures that they're showing of just people at the park. Toy Story. Here's the other thing. Okay, so this is Toy Story Land you see up there to the right?
Please.
You look at that and you know exactly what the setting is. You know where you're supposed to be. You look at that and it's like, I'm already, I'm in Andy's backyard. I'm a toy. You get the concept. Unlike Galaxy's Edge. Well, you cannot, you can't really figure out what the concept is with that. But as soon as you walk here in a Toy Story Land, that's what you get. And it's probably why it's so crowded and why I can barely get a spot at Andy's lunchbox, dude.
And I would suggest that the same feeling exists in the Avengers campus that as Galaxy's Edge, which is the future as junk strewn everywhere. It's like sort of generic set that blows up in the last reel. It's not intimate. It's not tugging on your emotional heartstrings the way this does. If you ever owned a Tinker Toy, if you ever had a Slinky Dog, if you ever did any of these things as a kid, which most people did.
I would have to agree with you, Lou. I think Avengers Campus falls a little short by from a standpoint of evoking that kind of Marvel iconography, right? I mean, it's like here, Toy Story, like you get it, and you can see maybe even John Lasseter's own touches throughout this whole place. Whereas you go to Avengers Campus, can't really feel it. Much like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, there are parts of it where it's like you see the Millennium Falcon, you go, okay, I'm there. Yeah. But then there are others where it's like, man, this could just be, I don't know, a portion of the Morocco Pavilion or something. Like it just doesn't necessarily
very much
feel
a good
like
comparison. That whole shopping street, the first thing I saw it, I thought Morocco. Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just
bizarre. The board oversight is awful. It really is. The park, as I said, certain rides were great, but you can see it's getting a bit long in the tooth. They need more capital invested. They need more capital invested now because the competition is getting keener. You've got Comcast opening 500 acres right down the road.
And that is known as Epic Universe.
Yep. You know what's the difference between Universal and Disney? Universal actually has proper management. Yeah. Who in Disney? No one is actually effectively managing the company. That's how Nelson Peltz is actually stating his disapproval with what he saw and stuff, because of the fact that the competition is getting better because they have better management.
Yeah, and you have people committed to this theme park product right here. I mean, what Nelson Peltz is saying here, long in the tooth, I think that's absolutely accurate. I mean, we saw explosive growth for the Walt Disney World property back in the 90s. I mean, like, within a couple of years, we had, Typhoon Lagoon, Disney's Disney MGM Studios, Grand Floridian, right? A bunch of hotels and everything like that. Like, within a couple of months. And yet we've not seen that kind of growth at any time since. And even with this meteoric rise of Universal, what have we got? We got a couple of things: Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Toy Story Land, Pandora, but not nearly the growth that you would expect, especially from this division of the company. And then when you see Epic Universe,
Hughes,
go ahead.
they broke ground or announced Epic Universe in August of 2019. It's going to be open maybe even less than a year from now.
Right.
How long did it take to put a copy of a ride from Japan into Tomorrowland?
6
How
years.
long did it take to take out a lovely fountain and put in a shopping center civic park in Epcot?
3 or so.
Something's rotten, you know? It's just that simple. Something's rotten. And then it doesn't work, right? Those lights don't work. And
well, that's the thing. If they come up with a response to Epic Universe, we're talking like, what, 7 years? Come on. That's why he's saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now. I mean, they built oh, sorry, go ahead, Lou.
All I was going to say was you can only lose your reputation once, you know, and whether it's for excellence in theme parks or anything else in the world, and they're losing it.
That is so true. I mean, Velocicoaster, Universal, it was like the worst kept secret ever. People knew what was coming. They built the Velocicoaster before Tron even opened. I think it was open for like over a year and a half before Tron opened. Epic Universe, that construction, I swear they're getting a bonus for completing this thing early. It is amazing how fast this park is coming together.
And they're not resting on their laurels. They're already announcing expansions. This dining hall thing in the Harry Potter section, putting Zelda into Islands of Adventure where the Atlantis thing was. The what is it they're doing? To
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, and meanwhile, oh, by the way, we're going to build another park in Plano, Texas, and another one in England, and another one in Spain, and we'll see where else it looks like fun. Singapore, and who knows?
Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes, in Vegas.
Year-round attraction in Vegas, and I found this out today that they're going to put a monster makeover.
Yeah, I saw your post.
Inside the Five and Dime. Imagine being able to be made over like, say, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, or my favorite, The Bride of Frankenstein. Imagine being able to go there and get that done. That is freaking genius.
I told Lorena earlier that it was the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo boutique.
Nice. I loved it.
Very
Lou
cool.
had some great ones. And speaking of great, over 50, you guys have been in here watching, so thank you so very much for being here. Please smack that like button. I should appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe to all my folks over here on the panel. Kiss my grits.
So true, Kiss. So
Kiss
true.
my grits. You know, I used to actually have a short for that. I actually have a clip for that, but I don't know where the heck I put it. I'll have to bring it back. It says, remember the 90s when Disney would send guests a VHS trip planner prior to their vacation, and then you received a personalized packet in your hotel room with park maps, daily deals, schedules, etc. Restore that magic. Yes.
So
yes.
Wow.
You get a VHS, or I think eventually they moved up to sending out DVDs out, because I have the DVDs, and you get, like, before your trip, you'd get this thing like, welcome so and so family, we can't wait to see you. Even after your trip, you get something from Mickey's.
Because they hadn't charged you something you had to save up for 10 years to do, and therefore you could come back next year, and people made it an annual thing because it was affordable and fun.
Yes.
And they told all their friends, and word of mouth is the greatest advertising ever. And now the word of mouth is, well, we went, but there was a 17-hour line for this, and you had to pay extra to go see that, and this one was broken down, and this one didn't open till noon, and well, the fireworks were okay.
A lot of the footage that these historians on YouTube use, when talking about some of these vintage things, comes from those planning VHSs, so it's they were absolutely magical. I definitely have a couple of myself. Come on, let's restore the magic, guys.
And
yes.
by the way, did you notice in the B-roll in that clip you just showed, that was something called, what kind of mountain was it that used to be there that isn't there anymore?
I believe this is with water in it, Splash Mountain.
Yeah, something like that.
Burr Rabbit's Dream Apparent, something like that. I'm sorry, I see that, and all I think of is, wow, my dad actually got in trouble in school for telling the Burr Rabbit story. Let's say there was select language that he used when Burr Rabbit was celebrating getting thrown in a Briar Patch.
Well, Lorena, you want to know how completely that whole story and that movie and everything was erased? I happened to go on Splash at Disneyland when it was still in soft open. And as you were coming off, there were nice little Disney kids with clipboards to ask you questions about how you liked it. And you know what the number one thing they were told was? We liked it a lot, but we don't really know these characters or what the backstory is. And so that's when they put these little signs in the queue saying it was with quotes from the stories and showing you pictures of the characters to give you a little pre-show orientation while you're waiting in line to understand what it's all about. That's how completely that experience was disappeared from the general consciousness, at least in Southern California.
I love that at Walt Disney World, but they had little characters and little information about him, like Burr Frog, who he was. But again,
that was in response to soft opening feedback saying we don't know who these people are. We liked it, but they're cute. But who is it?
We need some more.
Fun fact: I've never been to Walt Disney World or Disneyland.
Where you been?
You gotta make it out at least one.
Busch Gardens,
just for research purposes alone.
Yeah.
Busch Gardens. I think Busch Gardens. I think Duff Gardens from The Simpsons. The Three-Eyed Bear. Sorry.
I mean, there was times back then I really wanted to go to Disney World and everything, but then after seeing, like, watching how the park started to turn out and stuff in the Iger, you know what? I'm just gonna say wait.
Well, my question to you then is: are you excited about maybe going to Epic Universe from what you've seen in advance? Does that interest you?
At Universal?
Yeah, the new one.
That's actually where I want to go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be live. I saw Mount Beanpole. They finally unwrapped Mount Beanpole. I almost stopped the car and was like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I can't wait to see it." And wow, almost 60 of you guys in here watching. Thank you, and thank you, Kiss My Grits, for that $20 super chat. I sure do appreciate that, my dear. And OCDD 93 for $4.99. Thank you so very much for that super chat, my dear. Sure appreciate your generosity. Says, I still had the 2004 welcome package that had some really cool maps from the parks, not the brochures, but maps worthy of framing. Miss that, Disney. Oh my gosh, that is, you got to frame those. I mean,
and notice that was to get you excited about going and let you do a little planning, but just know where you were, as opposed to when you get here, put your nose in your phone, ignore the world around you, and obey orders and get up at 7 a.m. to try and get online for the rides.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And now they want you to do, the lightning rain type of thing. But this was back when, just like you were saying, Lou, this was back when they wanted to make you excited about coming, or I like to say, make you excited about coming here and spending your money and not thinking about it. But you get this stuff, you get excited about it. Made you feel like, hey, we really want you to be here. Even though we're taking your money, you're going to enjoy us taking your money because of all this cool stuff that we're going to give you. And
that's true as recently as Magic Bands, because I remember thinking, boy, this will be so convenient. I walk up to get a drink and just rub my wrist over the thing, and that's cool, as opposed to, boy, those sneaky SOBs are trying to get me to spend money without thinking about it, and I'm going to get a big bill at the end. Never crossed my mind. It didn't matter because I wasn't cynical about it, because they weren't cynical about it. They were positive.
Right, putting on the show, give the guests all you can give them, that kind of mantra right there, and the money will take care of itself.
Exactly. Making, your guests say, shut up and take my money. That's what you want. Don't have them think about it. Have them, do it. But thank you, Scott Westbrook, for gifting those 5 memberships to the channel. I sure do appreciate your generosity, my dear. Hopefully you guys are all opted in for gifted memberships. So many things coming for the members. As a matter of fact, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a members watch party of the 1982 movie Tron. So you do not want to miss that. That is going to be
we don't have to wait 6 years.
Blast. Yeah, I know, right? For what Tron? Just again, if it wasn't for Daft Punk, I would not have paid attention to Tron too. I'm just saying.
I like Legacy. It has its problems.
I'm just saying. It's like it was. Yeah, but man, that soundtrack was banging. Oh my gosh, the soundtrack was freaking amazing.
So good.
Live, it was so good. Speaking of things that might not be so good, so if you follow me on Twitter, you know I constantly am bringing up everything that I see that is not regionally or historically accurate when it comes to Tianu's Bayou Rainforest Salt Mine adventure that they have at Walt Disney World. And this is a video. I guess we have Joy Afudu, who I believe she kind of like tagged along with the Imagineers who went to New Orleans. What was it, Vash? Were they for what, 2 years? How long were they there?
They're saying 2 years, on and off for 2 years.
I think it was 6 different trips or something like that. They said in this video.
Oh my God. This is getting really ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Wait, you want ridiculous? I told you, Lorena, that I looked up and found an interesting fact. As we all know, their justification for the fact that, well, in reality, there are no mountains in Louisiana. It's pretty damn flat. In fact, I think the highest point above sea level in all of Louisiana is about 500 feet. Well, it's supposed to be a salt mine, right? A salt dome where they're getting salt to make Tiana's foods, a la Tabasco sauce, Avery Island, right? Which it's interesting to me that Disney obviously couldn't make or didn't try to make a deal with McElhenney to tie in. But I looked up and I said, where's the biggest place they mine salt in Louisiana? Turns out it's not Avery Island. It's a thing called Côte Blanche, Louisiana, and it's a company called Compass Minerals, 1,500 feet underground, which if you did in Disney World, of course, you'd be drowned. But here's the thing. Guess where all that salt goes? Do you think it goes into delicious foods? They provide over 15% of all the salt used by highway departments to salt roads in the wintertime. That's where the salt goes. It goes on your roads as far away as Minnesota.
Oh, man.
I'll put the link in the private chat if you want to put it out there. But isn't that a kicker? I bet that's tasty salt, too.
What is okay? So is that like that's not a real mountain? They can remove that structure, can't they?
Or it's already shorter than it was. They took that peak that was at the top of it and rounded it off.
Chickapin Hill.
Yeah.
They could have just made just recreated the veneer of one of the plantations down there, and it would have been just fine. But
well, and if they wanted to tell you were going down into the earth into this salt mine. What about the elevator effect they had in the Living Seas originally?
Right,
or the one going up to the space restaurant. That would have been easy to do. But no.
No.
That would require money and creativity and time. Lou, we don't have any of those.
No, we just want to go to New Orleans and drink and eat, and not drink and eat like a local, drink and eat like an extremely pampered tourist. So I'm actually going to play and stop when it comes to this. So
we're going to figure out what here in New Orleans, Louisiana, inspired Tiana.
First of all, it hurts my ears to say Orleans instead of Orleans, but you know.
Bayou Adventure.
I'm talking about it's a regional thing.
Music, culture, history, museum, jazz, beignets. It's a little overwhelming, but the first stop on this next couple of days is real easy. They told me it was going to be simple. It's a Bayou tour. Let's go.
Okay, number one. What's wrong with this Bayou tour? I'm going to tell you right now. First of all, she's in some... Okay, when you go on a real Bayou tour, all right? We're talking a real Bayou tour. You're on an airboat with some dude speaking between Cajun, French, and English, and you can't really understand. You're like Boyfriend from the Waterboy, right? Okay. Exactly. With two big old plastic buckets you get from the Home Depot to go dig up some crawfish and put it in. I mean, that is authentic. That is an authentic Bayou trip. This is a wine cruise.
We're going to see where they drew inspiration for that scene where they meet my friend Louis. I will be shocked if I leave here with the eyelashes I came with.
First of all, you don't wear eyelashes. That's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
I really feel sorry for the customers. I really do.
And the only food she's mentioned, she never shows and they never eat in this video, which is beignet.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiana, aside from the fact that everybody knows New Orleans because of food more than almost anything else as far as contemporary people, other than the architecture, which Disney did in Anaheim, isn't it Tiana's Foods that is supposedly the business going on? Guess what? You can't make beignet in a salt mine.
Yes.
No, you're absolutely right. And we're actually going to get to that in a little bit because we're talking about beignets. First of all,
hi, buddy.
That's a baby
any
alligator.
beignets for you, buddy. Oh, he's eyeing me too.
And I think they lured it out there, to be honest.
So is this the part where they revealed this is one of the animatronics? That was really...
No, it's not.
He's eyeing her. There's a boatload of people, but it's all about her.
Yeah.
Can you tell she works for Disney?
Yeah.
You probably think this gator's about you, don't you? Don't you?
Giving vloggers that name.
I mean, they go in the bayou here, you know, although I really don't think that it's technically the bayou. It's a tourist bayou. Like I said, they're not on an airboat. They're not, you know, trying to find, you know, like Meemaw Thibodeau Landry, you know, who's making jambalaya and who can arm wrestle you while reciting the rosary in Cajun French. I mean, you're not getting that here. And that's as much a part of New Orleans as anything else. Now, if we would have gotten it started, it would have been great. But this is Dookie Chase's restaurant. Okay, 1941.
Right.
It's a very famous restaurant.
Dookie Chase restaurant to talk about Tiana's impact.
The grand
over the past
lady who ran the restaurant, and that's her. Unfortunately, she passed away recently.
I've eaten there.
Anytime
I met her. She was a dear.
Oh, wow.
She'd be turning over in her gumbo with this stuff. I got to tell you.
I'm sorry. That one has to creep up on me.
I mean, speaking of gumbo, and I'm glad Lou brought this up. Anytime that I had seen, and Captain John D, I see your super chat for $10, my dear. We're gonna get to that, but I'll pop this up right here. Anytime I saw an interview with her, after she talked to you for a little bit, she would take you back into her kitchen.
Yes.
Ooh.
And she would show you, she would explain to you the dishes. Like she would explain that Creole cuisine is a fusion of a different kinds of cuisines, of French, Spanish, African, Native, all of that is part of New Orleans. You can't get rid of them. And she was actually showing how she made her special Holy Thursday gumbo, which is completely green. I've never seen anything like that before. And she'd take you back in the kitchen, show how it was made, show why she used certain ingredients, talk to her customers, do all of that. And in this trip, you didn't really get that
connection Disney has made with the Chase family.
So they're talking about the connection that Disney made with the Chase family, and I'm thinking, is that
money?
Kind of like,
of course,
exactly. Retro. Go right ahead. You took the words out of my mouth.
Money. They paid them.
You totally took the words out of my mouth.
Let's look at a sign that says there's a door to the dining room, which is something we would never have imagined on ourselves, and not at the food, right?
No.
Dining room entrance. Damn.
Will
there be a sign like that at Tiana's?
1941.
I don't know. But I'm going to skip through. So again, money. So you have the photo up here.
I'm delighted to be here. Our restaurant became a welcoming place to all.
and she did talk about her restaurant, how so many famous people would come by, but not just famous people, just people from all over who wanted to taste, really good food. And that was the crux of The Princess and the Frog. And Retro Nerd Girl and I did a watch party of that, how her father, Tiana's father, talked about food brings people together from all walks of life. Mm-hmm. And that's what Miss Chase's restaurant was about. But here it's so much of like a commercial thing, like you were saying, Retro Nerd Girl, about money.
Special, like my mother wants.
And just trying to skip because we're running show for time. But then they went to this
through the Williams Research Center, our archives.
So there's the archives, not the Cabildo records or anything like that, not the old stuff. This is cool because they have all this stuff that's here. Oh, there's Hughes. Recon lost Hughes for a minute there, but they have, like the costumes and everything. Although this is interesting, and only people from New Orleans will probably remember what this is. Do you guys remember the Zulu crew?
Yeah, sure.
With the Zulu Indians.
Oh, I must admit I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to talk about them. So with Mardi Gras, there's several different crews that come by, obviously. And, there's like the crew of Endymion, there's like the crew of Bacchus. The crew is basically, the whole parade is around
them. It's the team that's competing against the other teams to be best of the parade, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Each in their own color schemes and costumes and themes and that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine all the different bands at the Rose Parade or the floats, although those aren't really, well, they're kind of competing, but not like this.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
You explained it perfectly. So there's one crew, on Mardi Gras, there's two last crews that run. One is the crew of Rex. That's the final one, the king that runs. But the one before that is the Zulu crew, which usually is an all-black crew dressed up in Indian costumes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The only Zulu I care about is if it's led by African Bambaataa.
The Zulu Nation. But I find it interesting how they didn't bring that little factoid. They didn't bring that little factoid
They started
up.
to understand what was the art, the culture, the dialects between wards of New Orleans, the furniture. You don't think about these things, but the Imagineers think about these things, and this is how they did research for Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
I don't think they did.
She's really trying to get her money's worth right now.
She has as much understanding of this as she does of Two Live Crew. She doesn't know from the cruise. She went on a Bayou cruise, however, so I guess that counts.
Yeah, I guess the Bayou cruise. Yeah, so I guess that counts, even though it wasn't in an airboat. But I will say the New Orleans Jazz Museum. Yeah, okay. So I've been there. There's Miss Carter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in New Orleans talking about this New Orleans stuff. What's on her shirt? Paris,
London, Milan.
People to come here and do research. This drum served as a prototype.
This is going to be in the attraction, y'all.
We
found the drum is going to be in the
20s
attraction.
and 1930s accurate radio and drum, and we've just been informed that both the drum set will be in the ride as well as the radio. There's like a little radio show. I can't wait to hear it at the top of the ride.
This is so. They're missing the opportunity. They're missing the point.
Well, Lorena, if you were going to go to New Orleans and do a thing about the music, would you go here or would you go to Preservation Hall? Would you go here or would you go actually listen to some jazz musicians actually playing jazz, for God's sake?
Yes.
Go ahead, Retro Nerd Girl. Sorry.
No, it's not about the instruments. You can see those instruments anywhere. It's about the performers. It's about the music, hearing the music and seeing the, actually players play.
Yeah.
Oh, that's square. That's oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it, in front of the church. Jackson Square, excuse me. Right. Jackson Square. At any given time, you've got people out there painting, dancing, performing, live. I mean, these people are amazing. That is where the music comes alive. And we saw that in Princess and the Frog, where you saw Naveen and he's out there in New Orleans and he doesn't go to some stuffy place. He just goes out there where people are playing music, and he's trying to dance and, you know, and sing with them. And that's what they could have gotten that from.
Yeah, because what they're talking about is a museum. They're not talking about an attraction. Why would you go all across the country to go to a museum? Might as well just go to New Orleans and enjoy and enjoy it. Okay, just enjoy it.
You have New Orleans Square that you could have possibly taken a detour to. But here's the interesting thing: on the back of the water tower that they've hung up in front of both iterations of this attraction, both at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, on the back of it, it says, "Never ever lose sight of what's really important." And that's what's so ironic about this, is that they completely lost the plot. This is supposed to be an attraction, like you said, Retro New Girl. It's supposed to be like, exciting and, want to take you on this magical adventure about Princess and the Frog. That's what it's really about. So why aren't we talking to John Musker or Ron Clements, the directors of the film, by the way? Why aren't we going into the formulation for the film itself and picking up pieces out of that in this search of authenticity? They've lost what's really important, which is the fun.
Yes. Where's the lily pads and the lights and the little bugs? I want to see all those. I want to see all that stuff. I don't want to see museum pieces. That's horrible. That's horrible.
You want to see magnolias. You want to see, the houses in the Garden District, the Sugar Baron houses. You want to see the streetcars. You want to see the houses in the Lower Ward. You want to see the cemeteries that are above ground, which is a unique thing about New Orleans. You want to see that. True. And speaking of beignets, how can you not have a duplicate of Cafe Du Monde?
How can you not go to Brennan's for Bananas Foster, for God's
sakes? Exactly.
Wow. Grillade and grits, my favorite thing there. If you ever go to Brennan's in New Orleans and you don't eat grillade and grits, which is slow simmered little veal cutlets in a Creole sauce that tastes like it's been cooking for the last 6 weeks. It's so rich in flavor. And then they serve that with egg sardou, which is basically eggs Benedict with artichoke heart, all with milk punch, which is milk and bourbon, baby, and a little sugar. And then for the finale, because you haven't had enough yet, Bananas Foster, which was invented there. And by the way, did I mention this whole meal I just described? It's breakfast.
Yes,
it's breakfast
at Brennan's. You get your, you get your wine.
God, the first time I walked in there at 9:30 on a Thursday morning and saw all these people sitting in front of slices of cake the size of the Encyclopedia Britannica, I said, "We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto." And none of that is here. None of it.
None of it. And it's just again lost opportunity.
So sad.
It is. Well, I like if it's shrimp and grits, I'll eat it. But no,
Captain John D, you're welcome. And I don't usually deal with salt on the roads, but boy, the snow we've been having lately, maybe there's a little touch of New Orleans in the streets of Chattanooga.
That's right. Well, magic mist and salt.
Yeah,
and everybody cheers for the salt truck, man. They go by. They're like heroes. They're like,
y'all from Nolans.
Well, thank you, Captain John D, for that $10 super chat. I sure do appreciate it, my dear. It says, as a New Yorker, I am absolutely honored to know that there's a chance that the salt I'm driving over daily could be real Bayou Magic salt. Thank you, Lou. You made my day. Well, there you go. And thank you. Thank you so much, my dear.
There you
go. Oh, well, folks, are we ready to get into a little bit of Star Wars?
Sure.
Star Wars stuff.
For sure.
All right. All right. Well, let's get into it. Love that all 55 of you are in here hanging around with us. We sure do appreciate it. Appreciate it very, very much. Well, the Rolling Stone is at it again. The site, I call it Digital Fish Wrap, a magazine that used to be on the cutting edge of rock music and, glitzy photo spreads of music stars and all cool stuff like that. Now it seems like on the interwebs and especially on Twitter, They just want to complain about everything, and their favorite thing seems to be agitating fans of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but they as usual, they have got some of the worst takes on the internet, worse than the Mary Sue. And at least the Mary Sue gives me some entertainment. I'm not gonna lie, they do. But
they're all about agitating, and I always, whenever you guys put these pages up, I go look at all the little stuff. Look over on the right. Supreme Court green lights untested.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to test it? Well, let's see if it kills Joe over there, and then if it works, we can use it on the murderer. Give me a break, guys. I mean, but it makes a little drama, and that's all they care about.
Yeah. It's so sad to see this magazine go down this route, because it used to be a really, like you said, cutting edge magazine. You would just love like every moment of like, oh, okay, what am I going to learn that's new? And they have been the last at least 5 years that I'm noticing is going downhill. More articles that are spewing more hate for like random topics that they're talking about.
That Duke lacrosse team scandal that they got involved in.
I was just about to bring that up. I think that's what really kind of catapulted them in readership. And it's like, oh, we got to do more of this. And it's like, no, you really don't.
Yeah.
Go on the way of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
very tabloid, I feel. Like,
Agreed. It's extremely tabloid, and that's
and
why
we all thought Jan Wenner was sleazy. What a surprise!
Now, I didn't see the interview with Star Wars Theory and his guest. Did he really agree with her?
Well, I got receipts, because one of the things that I like to do is when there's video, I like to present that so if people can have the proper context. But before we get to that video, I'll tell you what, let's look at this article here. His guest said women don't like Star Wars. He agreed and sparked an internet debate.
He did not agree.
No, he didn't. But you know what?
We'll get to it.
He just smiled.
Oh yeah.
All he did
yeah.
was smile.
Oh, we're so going to get to it. It's going to be so delicious. A popular streamer, Star Wars Theory, has brought back a familiar, if unwelcome, internet discourse. So apparently during an episode on Theory Talks, his channel focused on critical theory, he hosted psychologist Saidia Khan, who derided Hollywood directors for centering on female stories within male-dominated fandoms. I would actually highly suggest that you watch this interview that she did with Theory to actually get what she was talking about. Do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't, Khan said. And women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. Now, you see how they wrote it, right? Okay. Here is how it went down.
Do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't. No one. Women don't even watch Star Wars, but they don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it.
She's very lighthearted,
right?
About it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it's a generalization, but you didn't see Theory basically like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Queen. Yes. Yes. I'm an ally. Yes. You didn't see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I've been following Theory for years. I watched this particular episode. I've been watching a lot of her content as well. She is controversial, but in this particular case, he was just asking her a question in general to get her point of view. He at no point did he actually agree with her. He like we just saw, he simply smiled and continued to let her speak. And I think he is in particular one of the people on the internet that has been under target for anybody in Disney is already been told not to work with him, and he has been sort of under the ban toxic. And this guy, I watch his stuff all the time. He is not toxic at all. He's very level-headed with a lot of the things that he has to say. He's very opinionated. He has an opinion of stuff, but it's never, ever been toxic, or what they're calling, they're considering toxic. And he has been getting a lot of people on his channel lately that have been called part of the quote-unquote toxic community. But he's allowing people to talk about Star Wars. He's opening up a conversation. And so this is really, I feel, people attacking him for absolutely no reason whatsoever, for the fact they just want him to go away.
Mm-hmm. And they want her to go away as well. So it's well, if you want to have these conversations, well, then you're going to be toxic by proxy. That's kind of what's going on here.
But then y'all hear that if you have a different viewpoint that's different in mind, you just got to go away and everything, that you should just get off the internet and before you get doxxed and everything.
Yeah, his sin was not whether he agreed or disagreed with her. His sin in these people's eyes was having her on in the first place.
Yeah.
Correct.
And being on himself. They don't even care about the content. They want the people to disappear.
Right.
They want the modern day equivalent of. Have you all seen those photographs from Russia, from the Soviet Union, where Stalin is standing there with another guy, and then there's another picture, and the other guy has been airbrushed?
Right. Yes. He's out.
That's what they want to do. They want to. Well, that's what tearing statues down is all about. That's what rewriting history books is all about. And let me tell you who does that. People who can't defend their point of view. Nobody who thinks they've got a winning argument wants to make the other guy go away. They want him to be there in order to have somebody to bounce off of and look better than. But if you're insecure about your own stuff, this is what you do.
Also, to be fair, the Star Wars theory, they say he's toxic and everything. They must have not have witnessed his stream where he was doing a watch party of the season finale of Mandalorian season 2, where he actually cried when he saw the deepfake Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They all saw that. For some reason, they have deemed him, because he doesn't check all the boxes, he's been deemed toxic.
Which is a shame, because I said it's like I don't really have any real beef with Star Wars theory at all. I mean, I think that his opinion about Ahsoka being a great series is, well, he's entitled to his wrong opinion. But other than that, he just loves Star Wars.
Oh,
and I just thought it was so disingenuous with people like Pablo Hidalgo making fun of him because of the emotional reaction that he had to seeing Luke Skywalker come back. There were a bunch of people who had reactions. Maybe they may not have cried, but the picture, the video they put, people were cheering, people were flipping out. I mean, I saw it live when I was watching. I'm like, I don't. My eyes are playing tricks on me, right? This isn't who I think.
I'll be honest. I almost cried when I watched the episode. I almost cried. Like tears were coming out of my eyes.
Yeah, it was a good show. It was a good show.
But as far as the author, the article's concerned and everything, Lorena, panel, I'm sorry to get political here, but this is making me actually go even further and hope that Nelson Peltz will get those seats and stuff. And not just him, but also Ike Perlmutter will be benefited as well. And also Ike Perlmutter, and since like Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter are good friends with who, and I've seen myself aligning closer to them and everything. And the fact that I'm keep hearing stuff like this where they're twisting people's words and everything just to make it political, guess what? Yeah, let's just say they might make me want to go ahead and buy a red cap right quick.
Well, that's the instinct. I mean, that's the effect that these things have. It's like it's not where it's like, oh well, I'm just going to live in fear. People resist, and they resist in all sorts of ways. And it's like, okay, well, hey, maybe this guy wasn't an enemy, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend in this case. And they push people towards these kind of reactionary figures. And
Lorena,
honestly, it's well warranted.
And Lorena, I'm also sorry to say this, but this might not have me back up here and everything in the future. This might also not have the people who's watching this live stream right now subscribe to my channel and stuff. I'm gonna say it right here. Trump 2024. That's it. It's not 2024. That I'm sorry to get political, but hey, that's me. Okay, continue.
And that's why I have you on the show. This is why I have all these wonderful people on the show.
Let's consider that word toxic. It means poison. It means it'll kill you. Well, obviously, these people complaining of somebody else or their opinions being toxic are not dead. They aren't poisoned. They're alive and kicking, aren't they? So, whoops, what happened?
It's almost as a way of poisoning the well, one would say, right, Lynn?
Yeah.
Yes, it would. And that's exactly what they did. It wasn't, Theory had this, this young lady on his channel, and this is what they discussed. And it was kind of interesting, her point of view of having that about Star Wars. Do you really think that Star Wars is whatever? Framing it like that instead of, well, he didn't check her. How dare he not check her?
Yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of her being on the channel, he was initially asking about relationships and things like that. And that was just one question somebody else asked. He didn't even ask it. Somebody else asked the question. And so, and in many ways, you can say she's kind of right. We can't, into semantics. I'm a young lady. I'm not a young lady. I'm a lady that likes. Thank you. I'm a lady who likes Star Wars. I've always loved Star Wars. But I can't say that every girl I've ever met that, I became, really good friends with was like, oh, let's go see the next Star Wars movie. Or let's do something Star Wars-y. There really was more guys that has always been interested in Star Wars than women. Just like there are more women interested in makeup and fashion than there are guys. It's something that just happened in nature. It just happened. We just went in our different directions, and there's some people who like both. And so if we can give people the space to like what they like, but also understand that the core material of it, right, the core basis of where Star Wars started was were toys for boys, were merchandise for boys. So I don't have any problems with that being a female.
Well, even Disney considered it as such when they purchased it. What was missing in their in their let's say creative output was franchises that appealed to boys. This was going back in 2010 or so, right? And then they acquire Marvel, obviously, in order to rectify that problem. And they further rectified it with Star Wars. It wasn't until very recently until it was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and have this try to appeal towards girls in order to make it a 4-quadrant franchise. Or at least that's what it was done under the auspices of. When in fact, out of the 5 films that we have gotten from Star Wars recently, 4 of them have been led by women. And it's like, okay, well, that's, now we're doing an imbalance again, but the other way. And for a franchise that, like you said, Retro New Girl, has been necessarily associated with being a boys' franchise, there's going to be some conflict there. Let's just say.
You don't even have to go any farther than this. The women they have put forward have been universally unappealing. And look, ladies, and I respect you, ladies, would you like to be Indy's, whatever she was, Phoebe Wallow and bitch, however her name went. Is that a character you'd like to identify with on the screen? Oh, look, she lies, she cheats, she steals, she screws him over, and she treats him like a... Oh, yeah, that's who I want to be when I grow up, all us little girls out there. I don't think so, and it's not a matter of, And by the way, you can't change human behavior with threats and laws. Did you see where California has now put through a bill that the governor says he's all for? Banning boys and girls aisles in toy stores. You have to make it every...
Right.
I saw that a couple months ago.
I saw that.
And Gavin Newsom says, oh, I'm all for it. I think it's just great. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? My favorite character growing up in Star Wars, one of my favorites was Mara Jade. Mara Jade was awesome. She was so cool. Leia was awesome. She was so cool. In fact, there was a lot of Leia cosplay for a while there.
Well, wait. I'll go one step further and really reveal myself as a very, 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 very young boy, and I don't remember how young, and I don't have specific memories. My toy was, are you ready? A Betsy Wetsy doll.
Wow. Oh, man, that's a long time ago.
And look how I turned out. Anyway.
Wait a minute, guys. Hold on a second. I'm getting a message. Hang on.
I'd like to say a few words about your arrest record. What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
Okay, I gotta get on that. just to wrap this up. Look, it's like theory. He wasn't, agreeing with her. If anything, he was probably thinking, man, you know what? This is going to blow up like crazy because you're going to get people saying that, oh, she shouldn't have said that. And, what do you mean Star Wars, women don't like Star Wars? Well, it's obvious to anybody, obvious to Stevie Wonder, pretty much, in fact, that she was talking in generalities. There's people like myself. There's ladies like Retro Nerd Girl, and actually as Meg B as well, OCDD93. We loved Star Wars. We didn't care that it was a predominantly male franchise. It's predominantly male because that's where the money is. Because there's a lot of men who like Star Wars. Okay, let's put it that way. There were female characters that we liked. There were male characters that we liked. I liked Han Solo. Didn't stop me from going to Star Wars convention. Didn't stop me from going to the movies. I will tell you this much: going to see Revenge of the Sith. Going to see Revenge of the Sith, and I bought a ticket. Where's my seat? Hey, you can sit up here with us. And they're all happy because they got a girl to sit next to them. So I just hate them.
And on the other hand, you wouldn't have anywhere near as many boys at the cons if there weren't all those cosplay girls.
This is true.
In tight outfits. So that's
an interesting point.
Yes.
Very.
I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. Disney, Lucasfilm, and them, they're the reasons why they're trying to make men more feminine and start trying to go ahead and get us to accept female characters and stuff. We love female characters if they're done right. If they're ladylike, if they actually have a good development, if they have a good struggles, weaknesses, basically being human.
Yeah. To quote RuPaul, you better work. These female characters, they need to work. Well, I'm going to hit some of these super chats that you guys are so generous. 65 of you guys watching. Thank you so much for checking out the Spice Lounge show here. We've got one more quick topic, yet important to get to, but want to acknowledge these super chats. Thank you so much for supporting my channel this way. OCDD93 for $4.99 says, female Star Wars fan here. Yes. Disney doesn't want him like they don't want Cavill. They're loyal to lore and don't settle for the twisted woke BS. Yeah, we don't want the cultural Marxism. We stick to the formula that works. Stick to the lore that gave you all this money and gave you this fan base. You can't turn your back on the fan base and then get mad when they don't show up to see your films. I know, Damaj and I, which reminds me, Dark Council is on Damaj and I's channel tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. He will say, I hate Disney for what they did to Star Wars. And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, don't be sorry. Disney did it to themselves.
Yep.
It's not your fault that you're not interested in Disney Star Wars because they pushed a product that you as the consumer did not want. So
they went against the model. They really did on purpose.
Absolutely.
So
like DC didn't. That's right.
With respect, they didn't just push a product you didn't want. They ordered you to want it.
That's true. And if you didn't like it,
you will like this, or you will not get the free passes and the toys. I mean, look, it's the same thing with Bud Light and Target and all of these things. They don't just diss their tried and true. They say, we don't want you, and if you're not going to be like us anymore, and we're changing and tough.
Exactly.
You know, it's a funny thing, but when you show contempt for people, they don't tend to spend money with you.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
They really don't. It's just like, you don't
Or
need
vote
my
for
money.
you or anything else.
Yeah. Especially that last one.
Yeah.
Charles Rather, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, my dear.
nice.
So appreciated. He says there were young ladies who loved Mace Windu. Yes. Retro, you are a young lady.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Oh, you guys are sweet.
Well, for our last topic, and speaking of giving the audiences what they want, Godzilla -1 is now the first Godzilla movie in history to be nominated for an Oscar. And I'm so excited that
Me
this
too.
happened. And
it's
this,
a little more historic than you might realize, by the way.
Oh, well, you're going to have to tell us.
Well,
about
as I
that
just
later.
wrote for That Park Place in an article, by the way, not only is the amazing thing, you know how many people did you know how you sit at the end of a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie, 4,300 people's names go by in the credits because you're waiting for the scene at the end of the credits? Guess how many the total crew of visual effects people were, and that's what it got nominated for, was visual effects on this movie. 35 people.
Wow. I love it.
Over 600 effect shots, and 35 people did it all, and one of them is the director. So he, along with 3 of the other leads, are the people formally getting the nomination. The last time a director got an award for special effects of any kind, can you guess?
James Cameron?
Stanley Kubrick for 2001 in 1968.
Wow.
So that's pretty historic.
Nice.
But of course, as I
Nice.
asked in the article, so if they can do it with 35 people, why can't Disney do it with less than what seems like 3,500?
To give people an idea, I think it was over 1,000 VFX artists that was part of Quantumania.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you want to compare those effects to this? Come on.
Yeah.
I could not believe this when I saw this in the movie theater. Granted, this does remind me of Jaws. I love that. Jaws meets Godzilla. But every time I would see Godzilla, I'm like, is this real? Is it CGI? I can't tell because it was so good. And then to find out how few people worked on it, it makes, and this is their reaction when the team found out about
I love this.
about the nomination. I love this. So they're watching, and then their name is up there. They are so, it's just like I just want to be happy.
Oh yeah.
They're just like with them. You hear all the ones die, and it's so well deserved. I'm glad.
You can get their FX team into that little room. You couldn't get a Disney FX team into the Hyperion Theater.
No way.
Oh yeah. No, you definitely couldn't. You definitely couldn't. It's
New
just
meme
amazing.
template, by the way, for that video.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Meme template, we've seen the bar,
Oh yeah.
Right. You got it.
Let's not forget, Godzilla is a guy in a suit in that movie.
Was that
I don't think in this one he is. I think in this one he's mostly CGI, but I don't know.
Oh no. They also stated that it's a guy in a suit.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah. If
They
you
do
like,
mocap and
the
stuff.
part where you see them in the ocean and everything going after them and stuff, you can clearly see because Godzilla's not even blinking, even though it's above on water level. You can tell by the eyes also. Like, I mean, it's some CGI in there as well, but it's also a guy in a suit.
Nice.
But what's interesting to me is the excuses. When people said, "Oh, how come they could make this for officially 15?" Some people are saying as little as $10 million. Well, labor's cheaper in Japan. You want to bet?
See, here's
I
another
looked it
thing.
up. Tokyo is the 7th most expensive city to live in the world.
Right.
So, what's your next excuse? Well, there is none.
There used to be more VFX people on YouTube, and I know that they had like zero budgets to do a lot of the things that they were doing that were spectacular. And so that's why I'm like kind of looking at these studios with their like $275 million budgets and going, where'd you put all the money? Is somebody like just pocketing all of it?
Some of it.
So
Some of it.
bad.
Yep.
Some of it. Retro Nerd Girl, famous short story when Easy Rider became the most ticketed, most sold, biggest movie in history. It replaced the previous champ, which was Sound of Music. Sound of Music cost $4.5 million to make. Easy Rider cost about $950,000. So the question around town was, well, does this mean all the major studios will go back to making movies for less than $1 million? And the WAG answer was no, because you can't steal $1 million out of $1 million.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
you know,
and whether you call it stealing or whether you call it, well, you know, we look at all these things that Valiant Renegade puts out of all the tax filings in England for all the stuff done over there so we can know what it really costs. That doesn't include above-the-line stuff. That doesn't include the star salaries or the executive chain leading from there back to Burbank. So, you know.
When you have a $275 million movie or even a $300 million movie in the form of Indiana Jones Without Destiny, and that gets way beat out by something like Oppenheimer that was made for like $100 million, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe Wish, right? $250 million production budget almost. At least that's what we're kind of hearing right here. At least $200 million versus Migration for $75.
Wow.
You gotta look at this stuff and you go, okay, can we get these? How do we get these reduced?
What's the common denominator there?
I got a quick question. Was Barbie nominated for anything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
8 nominations.
I'm just can.
What about
Ryan
visual
Gosling,
effects?
best supporter, right?
Yeah.
Ryan
What
Gosling.
about visual effects? Have they been nominated
Yes.
for that or no?
Oh yes, they have. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, they're not. They're not.
I guarantee you they're going to give their award for Barbie instead of Godzilla on -1. I guarantee that.
Oh, I'm going to back up on that a little bit because this is how the Oscar game is played. It's kind of like when the Mean Girls have throw a big party. Okay, there's an established guest list. But you have 1 or 2 open invitations because you don't want to miss an opportunity to possibly bring someone into your circle. And I think that's why Godzilla -1 did not get nominated for Best Picture or Best Foreign Film, but they decided to nominate them for Best Visual Effects. I don't think Barbie will win for this category. It's if they did, people would
sorry, but she
burn the
wasn't.
Academy
Barbie-
down on the stage. It's like no.
Barbie wasn't nominated.
We're not nominated for best visual effects.
No, she
All
wasn't.
right, so good,
Yeah.
good. But other than that, I'm not watching the Oscars. Nope.
Nah, I don't. Well, I did last year because RRR got nominated, and I wanted to see the they redid. I think they did Naatu Naatu, but that was probably the only year that people only tuned in to see that part because they just wanted to happen what was going to happen with RRR. Nobody cared about anything else, but just to see.
They wanted to have fun.
Exactly, they wanted to have fun and to yet see directors and people who are just like, we just want to make a movie that people will enjoy, and it's like they're teaching Hollywood what they needed, what they should have been. Because back in the day, this is, they actually had, really worthy movies and actors. I mean, they had the little Save the Whales thing, but they weren't demonizing people about it. Right. And it's not, it's not like that. It's not like that now. So granted, they didn't give Godzilla -1 the final award, but hoping that they're going to get it for
there's a little clarification on the rules. The country picks one film to nominate as their representative for the overseas films. And Japan had already picked some other film before Godzilla ever came out. So that made sense. But when they're now choosing 10, not 5, to go for Best Picture, and they couldn't find one slot out of 10 for this, that's another story.
Yeah.
And as far as the awards, did you happen to see an actress named, is it Niecy Nash? Niecy Nash?
Niecy Nash.
Oh, yeah.
And she got up there and said, I want to thank me for believing in me and doing what I said they could not do. Thanking yourself, not the audience? I mean, most of them don't thank the audience much anymore. The last one I know of was John Wayne, but for True Grit. But thank myself.
I really hate these award shows.
Yeah, I don't watch
They
them.
get so full of themselves. The Oscars used to have, like, if you go back and watch the Oscars from, like, say the early 70s, you can look on YouTube, like the early 70s, like 80s. The actors were like actually roasting themselves. And it was just like a fun, glamorous evening to watch. But nah, it's
I think it's because of our present day. We see celebrities all the time on their Instagram and we see them everywhere. So we're kind of a little bit sick of them a little bit, and there's a premiere, and then there's a Met Gala, and then this and then that, and so fashion shows. We didn't have all that in the 70s. This was our chance to glimpse at our favorite stars, and oh, there they are. They look so beautiful, and then they're gone.
And we now know that if somebody gets slapped, we're going to see it in clips on YouTube for the next 6 months. We're not going to really miss anything. We're just going to see it a few moments after it happens rather than live. And maybe we have a real life to go to.
The replacement of humility with hubris, right?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hughes, do I need to exit you out, or do you have like 5 minutes?
Go ahead and X me out.
Okay, all right. Well, Hughes, thank you so much for being here. So glad to have you here. Please let everyone know where they can find you and what you have coming up.
Well, you all can find me on Rumble as well as here on YouTube as I continue in putting forth that whole new pop culture curve, keeping you all ahead of that, as well as keeping you posted with updates as well as possible rumors, scoops, so on and so forth. I want to thank Reina Creole for having me up here once again. Also want to thank the panel and everything. Not only did I provide some input, but also learned a few things from you all as well. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification. Also, check out my content I have on the channel also. I do plan to actually go ahead and explain different things in layman's term and plain and simple English rather than trying to put out there the whole business jargon and Hollywood jargon and everything. So that way many of you can actually understand what's actually going on. So hope to see you all there. Thank you all for having me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Hughes, for being here.
A pleasure.
Take care. Hopefully
Take care, Hughes.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Oh, well, you guys have been like smashing it. Over 60 of you folks watching this show. Let's see. We have a couple more super chats to go through here to exit out the show because I keep getting this from the back.
I'd like to say a few words about your arrest record. What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up in here. Wrap it up. E. Clay Thomason, thank you so much for that $1.99 super sticker and for being a member. Just thumbs up. Well, thank you so much, my dear. I sure do appreciate the channel support. Amanda Pizzolato has been a member for 18 months. Thank you so much, my dear. Says, woo, go Godzilla. Yes, go Jira. Go Jira. And if you are lucky enough to be near a theater that will be showing this, starting, I think, in 2 days, the 26th, for a whole week, they're going to be showing Godzilla -1 minus color. So you're actually going to be able to see it in black and white. So if you haven't seen the movie, highly suggest you go watch it in that format. It's going to be live. Hopefully I can get to see it. And Kiss My Grits for $10. This is funny how it's acceptable for the Forces female mob to rebrand an iconic male-driven franchise, but God forbid a male have any opinion on Barbie, much less becoming the star of the movie.
That's true.
And I think you're talking about the chatter from the Peanut Gallery on Twitter about how
Ryan Gosling got nominated.
Ryan Gosling, yeah, he got nominated, and
Margot Robbie and
did
Greta
not.
Gerwig did not.
Yeah, and just they'll
have to cry all the way to the bank. Poor babies.
Yeah. I said just save it for your freaking acceptance speech. Ryan's like, oh well, we should all be together, and it's just like, look, you totally outacted Margot in the movie. I loved Ryan Gosling in it. So yeah, unfortunately that's kind of how it is in Hollywood, which is why Ryan Gosling had to do, the hostage tweet to basically say we all need to be together. We all rise together.
There is no Barbie without Margot Robbie.
Rise together. And
Yeah, I don't think he had a choice in that matter.
now Greta props on the phone. Yes, that's exactly
it
what
was
it
PR
is.
for the whole thing. I mean,
True.
If there's a villain in the movie, I guess it's him in the sense that if you're a feminist, he's the opposite. But we used to honor the people who played villains. Look at all the great actors.
Yes.
Vincent Price, Sidney Greenstreet, Peter Lorre. Great perform. Well, geez, now even. But no, because he was a man in a woman's world. Well, if he's not in that movie, it doesn't exist.
No.
I mean, I don't know about him performance-wise, but his character and what he does and what he says is what the movie's about, really.
Yeah, I think it's he did a wonderful job. He deserves it.
He did.
My thing is, if these guys were to get the nominations that they wanted, who do you kick out? Who do you say, hey, hit the road because you're not good enough? And that's just the way awards work. And try again next year. You might ask anybody else. If you guys want, I have a little list of names of people who never got nominated in their entire lives. So yeah, there's a lot of actors, directors that never got the pleasure of being nominated in their entire lives.
Remember that great routine Red Buttons used to do about Never Got a Dinner? Go look that up on YouTube, everybody. Never Got a Dinner with comedian Red Buttons.
Sounds good.
Well, I'll exit out of this whole conversation by saying this. Hillary Clinton had to react to it, and I said, well, Hillary knows a lot about losing to a man like Barack Obama, Trump.
And I replied, and dressing like one.
Yes.
But, unfortunately, it's one who's in Sun City in a polyester pantsuit. But
oh no! Don't criticize too hard, Lou. All right, you're gonna be a ghost again.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Who, me?
Oh, wow.
By the way, on that category that Gosling is in, if Robert Downey Jr. does not get the award for Best Supporting Actor,
we riot.
Then there's no justice. Period.
Yes,
that is
I agree.
An amazing performance. An amazing performance.
Oh,
very transformative. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He was. I was just like, if he does not get it, as soon as I saw Oppenheimer and saw him in Oppenheimer, I'm just like, he needs to get it.
Agreed.
He needs to get it. But if he gets nominated, how much? Well, since he has, I bet you when he's at the Oscars, they keep asking him about Tropic Thunder. How much you want to bet about that?
Oh, you think so?
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, they'll be asking him about, are you going to do Iron Man again? Endlessly. And if you're him, why? Why would you?
No.
Why would you?
No. It's just like, let it go. Let it go.
He's got more
Unless they're
money
coming up with the big paychecks.
Yeah, but even then, he'd be like Elon saying, oh, you're going to bribe me with money? Go start yourself.
Yeah,
anyway.
Can't have me. Yeah. But as much as I wish we had a whole bunch of time, because we could keep rolling, because we have like the best conversation here on this show. I want to thank Lou. I want to thank Retro Nerd Girl, and I want to thank Dre Vash for being on this show. I so appreciate all of you. Please do make sure that you subscribe to That Park Place YouTube channel. Also check out thatparkplace.com, where you will see articles from Lou Wasserman's Ghost over there on That Park Place website. You will see videos from Vash Sky on That Park Place YouTube channel. Retro Nerd Girl also has a YouTube channel, which is amazing if you like retro stuff. And she does watch parties with me on this channel, and I'm not going to reveal right now what the next watch party is, but let's just say it is all kinds of throwback, amazing kung fu fighting type of fun. Ooh. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell when we go ahead and drop that. So you all have an amazing rest of your morning.
But hit the like button before you leave, guys.
Yes.
We got too small a number of likes for the number of people watching it. Just that simple. and it's free.
Yes. Doesn't cost you.
That's right. Helps out the channel, though.
Yes, helps out the channel. Just a
not
click. So we will see you all next week with more hot takes, spicy content, and conversation. Take care, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.